A long time ago I asked myself, what exactly is the soul? Some say it is the eternal core of man, others say it is just a set of psychic functions. But I felt that the truth must be deeper. It wasn't about a book definition or a theological precept, it was about what I feel when I suffer, when I love, when I look at the stars and know that there is something more than just body and mind. I began to search. I went through old texts, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Kabbalah. I found clues everywhere, not a match in words, but in feelings. The soul is not something we can measure with an instrument, and yet it controls our entire destiny. In every ancient tradition I found the same idea. The soul is the bridge between man and the infinite. And it is also the mirror in which our inner truth is reflected. But the more I delved into the ancient wisdom, the more I realized that modern science was beginning to say the same thing, just in a different language. Quantum physics, neuroscience, epigenetics. They talk about the influence of consciousness, how emotions change our biology, how information drives matter. And I suddenly realized that the soul is not just a philosophical concept. It's a living structure that responds to our every thought and every action. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not what religion thinks or what science says, but about what I feel as a person who has risen from the bottom many times because he has understood that the soul is not a thing we have. The soul is a process. And each of us is either building it or destroying it. When I delved into the teachings of ancient civilizations, I realized one thing: every culture described the soul differently, but they all had one thing in common. The soul is not just a part of a person. It is the essence of the soul. And our greatest tasks in life are about it. In ancient Egypt, they believed that man had several parts: ka, ba, ah. The soul was not one whole, but a system of forces that had to be reconciled. Ba was our personality, that life force, and O the embodiment of the light that survives death. In order to pass through the gates of the underworld, the soul had to be in balance. The basic law was simple. The inner truth, or mayat, determined one's fate after death. In India, again, they spoke of the Atman, the eternal self, which is identical with the ultimate reality, the Brahman. And here something struck me deeply. They don't separate man from the divine. He says we are a spark of divine fire and that all suffering comes from forgetting that. Reincarnation here is not a punishment, but a way of correction. A tool to cleanse the soul of selfishness, pride and fear. In Christianity, again, I found a different depth. Here the soul is not just a principle of life, but has a relationship with God. And thus responsibility. The soul is a temple that can be filled with light, but it can also be empty. The key is love, not as an emotion, but as a state of being that transforms reality. And then there is Jewish Kabbalah, which divides the soul into 5 levels from the lowest, nephesh, which is related to the body, to yechida, which is oneness with God. The more a person purifies his intentions, the higher he ascends. And here I realized for the first time, our life is a spiritual ladder. And every action, every thought is a step either up or down. This all felt like a puzzle to me. Every culture brought a piece of truth. And when I put them together, it stopped making sense to me to separate religion and science, East and West, reason and faith. The soul is the bridge between it all. And the more I understand that bridge, the calmer I breathe. Today I know that talking about the soul is not just a theoretical exercise. It's a question of survival. Not physical but spiritual. And each of us, whether we know it or not, is faced with a daily choice. To strengthen the soul, or to weaken it. It always starts within. In every disappointment, in every tantrum, in every joy and pain, there is a question. How will you respond? Will you respond with more love or more condemnation? And this is what changes the structure of our soul. We often don't even realize it, but there are processes within that run more precisely than a watch. Every feeling we carry within us creates a subtle energy field that will later translate into our health, destiny and relationships. So I started to take my emotions seriously. Not to suppress them, but to understand them. Fear showed me where I had forgotten to trust. Anger showed me where I had lost humility. And pain, it showed me where I stopped loving. I was learning to look beyond the surface of events and ask, what is life trying to tell me? What does my soul have to learn? And this is where I see the way for anyone who wants to work consciously with their soul. It's not about being perfect. It's about being receptive. It's about being able to stop, to forgive, to accept, and most importantly, to love even when it hurts. Because that's when the soul is cleansed the most. Today I know that every illness, every fall, every hardship is not a punishment. It is a gift, a chance to reconnect with your true nature. And the more I understand that, the more I feel that the soul is not something abstract. It's a light, and that light is waiting to be rekindled within us.